Hello everyone, I'm Safia from Magic Light Artista. This is my Calligraphy for Beginners tutorial series and I'll be doing the alphabet in uppercase and lowercase. We do 10 styles from every letter. 2 tutorials back, we started doing 4 letters at a time so we can speed up the process and learn fast. We have done up to lowercase R now. And I have given you a free practice sheet for every letter. Use them and keep practicing because after all, practice makes perfect. As usual, we'll be using our Crayola markers. We started off with Crayola markers and we will be continuing with Crayola markers because that is the cheapest option you can find as a substitute for a calligraphy pen. Next, I will be using a pointed pen. So I'm going to demonstrate it with the pointed pen as well as we have done in our previous tutorials. So if you don't have a Crayola marker or a pointed pen at home, you can still do calligraphy. All you need is any pen. So you can use a fine liner like this. Anything you can write with. It doesn't matter as long as you can write with it. You can use even a gel pen like this. All you have to do is follow my tutorial for calligraphy with any pen in the link above and you can do calligraphy in no time. Today we'll be learning S, T, U, V. So before we begin, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you will be the first one to know when I upload a new video. So let's begin with lowercase s. So the basic S is formed with an upstroke, downstroke and then an upstroke again. So this goes in a continuation motion, looping each other stroke. So then for the second style, I do the upstroke and then from there, instead of continuing, I stop and bring down into a downstroke and continue for the upstroke. The third style, the same thing. Again at the end of the S, I'm not going to continue it into an upstroke. I'm going to stop at the end of the downstroke and then continue up in an upstroke. For the fourth style, we do a curved upstroke and then the downstroke we start with a small curve. In the second one we started it right down, but here we do a small curve and then come down in a wavy motion and then continue it up. Fifth style, I do the same thing, the curvy lines for the second style. The second style is more of straight lines, but in the fifth style I do curvy lines for my S. So you can see I curve it a little bit to give it an added look. The sixth one, so for this we will be doing the same thing with the curve starting, but at the end of my downstroke I make a small swirl and then do my upstroke. For the seventh style, I do the upstroke and then do the small curve and come down and make a big loop and turn my upstroke a little bit towards the baseline. Our eighth style would be a continuation, but it's like a straight line. You can see this is a bit slanted and more compressed together. But in this eighth style, we spread it out a little bit and angle it on the opposite direction. With our ninth style, we're going to go a bit beyond and cut across the upstroke. So we do the upstroke and then come down and curve it up and cut across the upstroke and then do the connecting upstroke. So for the 10th one, we do an upstroke and then do a downstroke. It's a curvy downstroke as always in the S, and then start from where I ended my downstroke. I continue it up again to our upstroke, but not in the same line we came down. So we have completed all our 10 styles in lowercase s. Let's begin lowercase t. So the first, if not the basic style of T, would be upstroke and then downstroke coming into an underturn, and then I cut across for the crossbar. And then the second style, we don't continue the downstroke into an underturn, but instead we stop there and do a small upstroke. For the third style, I do a loop. It's like an ascending loop, and then I use the crossbar to make it a T. And then I do the fourth style. I'm going to do a long crossbar for this T. And then for the fifth one, I do the crossbar. Instead of cutting across, I'm going to just start it from the downstroke and draw it a bit further away. In the sixth one, the upstroke, I'm going to take it all the way to the ascending line. In the earlier ones, we took it only to the waistline, but here we are going to take it all the way to the ascending line. And then do a normal downstroke with the underturn and then the crossbar. For the seventh style, we do the downstroke and then a straight upstroke. Instead of doing an underturn, we do an upstroke, and then the crossbar, I start from on top of the downstroke and then come down and go across. For the eighth one, we do our normal T, but instead of cutting across for the crossbar, we do the crossbar on top of the T. For the ninth style, we do the upstroke and go into our underturn, and at the end of the underturn, we add a small loop. And for our final style, the 10th style, we do a normal T with a flourished crossbar. So at the end of the crossbar, I do a small flourish to give it an ornate look. So we have completed our 10 styles of T as well. So let's move on to lowercase u. For the basic lowercase u, we do an upstroke, an underturn, and then another underturn. The second underturn, I do it a bit closer than the earlier underturn. So for the second style, I go with the underturn, and then instead of stopping there and doing another underturn, I continue it into a loop and then continue it back into an underturn. So for the third style, I do the upstroke and then do a small loop before continuing to the underturn, and then I do another underturn. So as our fourth style, we're gonna do a compound curve. Instead of an upstroke and an underturn, we do a compound curve and then an underturn. So the compound curve, you can continue it to the underturn instead of just stopping there. Fifth style, I do the compound curve and then do a loop and then do the underturn. So it's almost one stroke combined with many strokes. So you can see there's a compound curve, there's a loop, there's underturn. So for the sixth one, I do a loop after the connector from the previous letter, and then do an underturn and then another underturn. 7th one, I do the upstroke and then do a small underturn, and then I do another big underturn. So this is like a bouncy font. 8th style, I'm doing the opposite of that. I'm doing a big upstroke and a big underturn, and then the second underturn is going to be small. For the 9th one, I'm going to do a big compound curve and then continue the compound curve to the underturn in a smaller way. So basically it's a compound curve, it's a double compound curve starting from big and ending with small. For the 10th one, I'm doing a flourish with an upstroke and then the underturn, and then I come down in a downstroke and end the U with a flourish at the end. So I do a flourishing motion and do the flourishing U. So the difference between U and W is the U's connector is an underturn, whereas W's connector, it is a small line horizontally. So you can see the difference here. I have an underturn for the U connector, but when it comes to W, the connector will be almost in the waistline. So always keep this in mind so you don't confuse the U and W. So let's move on to lowercase v. So this is one of the simplest letters in the alphabet. All you have to do is upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, and then a small connector. For the second style, we do the same thing, but at the end of the upstroke, instead of stopping there and drawing the connector, we do a small loop. For the third one, we do an overturn and then upstroke with the loop. For the fourth one, we do a compound curve and then a small connector. Fifth one, upstroke, downstroke. Here the downstroke, I'm curving it a little bit and I'm curving the upstroke too and do a loop at the end. So it's more like an arc. So for the sixth one, I do an overturn and then an upstroke arched a little bit towards the outer side. And then for the seventh one, I have loops in the beginning of the downstroke and the end of the upstroke. For the eighth one, I'm doing a variation of the same first style. So upstroke, downstroke, and instead of a downward curve, it's a wavy connector at the end. So for the ninth one, I do an upstroke and then a curved downstroke, and then at the end of the upstroke, I do a small swirl. For the 10th one, I have swirls in the beginning of the downstroke and at the end of the upstroke as well. So we have completed all 10 styles of our U and V both. So we did S, T, U, V, 4 letters today, 40 styles. So I guess let's move on to the word of the day then. letters, done with the words of the day: smile, twinkle, unity, and valiant. So we have only one more tutorial for the lowercase. After that, we'll be completing our lowercase styles. So don't forget, I have a practice sheet for every letter in the description below. And also, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification so you'll know when I upload a video as soon as I do. Bye bye.